5 months had passed since Kakarot Kent took on 2 students. The scholarly son, Gohan, and the spawn of Shiva, Cassandra Cain, had been training hard under the Super Saiyan's tutelage. Kakarot was a novel teacher. Spending years on his own all over the world, he often had to find ways to train aside from simply lifting heavy things. Given that from a very young age, he struggled to find things he couldn't lift. So today his students were taking part in an activity he'd done in small towns all over the world, delivering milk.
Skip-a, skip-a, la la la. Skip-a, skip-a, la la la.
Skip, skip, la la la. Skip, skip, la la la.
Skip, skip.
Makes it more fun when you gotta concentrate on the song too, huh?
Yes.
Right. Sure. I'm very nauseous. Ugh.
After they had finished their rounds, Superboy suggested that they do some studying now, despite Kakarot's protests. Gohan had been giving Cassandra language lessons, continuing on the teaching Barbara had started, not wanting Cassandra to lose any progress on her training trip. As a result, Kakarot was now the worst writer of the 3.
I hate those dusty old books. And that chalkboard mob bot. Wish we were sparring or something. Humph.
Mr. Kakarot learning language is fun. I'm on my 10th, and that's just Earth languages. Saikou no tabemono wa doko ni arimasu ka?
Kakarot was sure he'd recognised one of those words from his travels, but didn't have time to ask. As a sleek white limousine drove up to Kent Farm Lane, all 3 turned to look at it, only to be even more shocked as CEO of LexCorp Enterprises, Mercy Graves, exited from the driver's seat.
Superboy, your father wants to see you.
Oh,
Busy.
Cassandra stared at Mercy coldly. The driver had dealt with the Bat family before. She was never afraid, but that didn't make things any more pleasant.
what she means is we're in the middle of a lesson right now, and,
Well then bring them along. Get in.
Fun! I ain't never been in one of those long cars before.
The trio piled into the limousine, and it quickly backed out of the drive. Mercy was an expert driver, and handled the luxury vehicle like it was a Formula 1 race car. Cass was almost impressed. She drove straight into the centre of Smallville's downtown before pushing a button on the dashboard. The wheels of the limo folded down as the trunk opened and propulsion engines burst out of it. The limousine shot off into the sky with a sonic boom as the residents of Smallville looked up in slack-jawed awe, just as Lex Luthor had intended.
Ah, you're right on time. It's good to see you again, Superboy. I trust you've been well?
Yes, Father. I hope I've handled myself according to your teachings.
And I see you brought some new friends. It's inspiring to see the Batman's legacy continue. You do your country a service.
Thank you.
Speaking of colorful friends, Superboy, Vice President Mars suggested you should join the Teen Titans. They're a nice group of young people right in her hometown of San Francisco. I think you being around other teenagers could be great for optics.
Of course, Father.
Kakarot, ever been to the White House before?
He will never find a more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
Why did Miss Gordon let you watch those films?
Nope.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just assumed the number of times I was invited as Superman.
I was never any good with that kind of stuff. You've done great, though. Feels like ages since me and Lobos were trying to stop you doing all kinds of bad stuff.
We've all improved in different ways, haven't we, Kakarot?
Yep.
Walk with me. Let me show you how things work here at The White House.
President Luthor began to give a tour, showing off the West Wing, the ballroom, the grand entrance, the halls of portraits of previous presidents. History that you could reach out and touch. It was all a bit overwhelming, made people feel small by comparison. Well, except for Kakarot, who was pretty bored by all the talking, and the relics strewn all about the walls were just dusty old things to him. In fact, one of the statues in the Oval Office was so dusty that Kakarot found he needed to sneeze after standing close to it. Not wanting to be rude, he quickly grabbed the nearest cloth to him and erupted in a massive
Achoo!
Godzilla.
Lex and Gohan looked at the martial artist in shock. Kakarot Kent had just sneezed on the American flag, but he seemed none the wiser.
This place is so dull.
Of course. Not really your lane, is it? Why don't we break for lunch?
Oh boy! What are you making, Lex?
I'm the president. I can have anything I want made.
Anything?
Kakarot proceeded to rattle off a list of requests, each more absurd than the last. The Saiyan went on for so long that Cassandra and Gohan were the ones who got bored waiting for him to finish.
Yes, well, that may take a while. My people have scheduled a press conference. Why don't we go feed that beast first while we wait?
We get to fight something while you cook, Lex? That's awesome! This whole president thing sounds pretty neat. Hey Gohan, maybe I should be president too.
You are nothing if not ambitious, Mr. Kakarot.
Kakarot was highly disappointed when they went to go talk to a mob of reporters instead of starting some kind of epic battle. The press had been informed about Superboy's return to the White House. Superboy's seeming disappearance over the last few months had begun to start quite the rumour flurry, though it did take a while for anyone to notice, since supervillain activity had fallen sharply in the city of tomorrow. But the appearance of Kakarot Kent in the White House stirred the hornet's nest of reporters even more, and the heroes were hit with a myriad of questions.
Mr. President, why is Superboy falling off the map?
President Luthor, you personally asked Wonder Woman and the Saiyan invader to intervene in combat. Do you honestly think that plan wasn't doomed?
Superboy, you were seen fighting Kakarot Kent when we last saw you. Care to comment on that incident? Superboy, you've been spotted in Smallville delivering milk. Is this some kind of political ploy to garner more support from the agricultural bout?
Kakarot, what have you been up to since your return?
Kakarot, are the reports of a solar-powered shark waging battle with you accurate?
Kakarot, is there really a girl version of you fighting Nazis, or did you make that up?
Wait, is that Batgirl? Batgirl's real?
No.
Cassandra released some smoke pellets from her utility belt. The press briefing room quickly filled with a thick black cloud as the heroes quickly slipped back out of the way they came.
I never thought of that.
The trio were now in the dining hall, seeing that Cassandra had taken the chance to get a head start, devouring as much as she could in a blur of motion that would even impress Kakarot, if he wasn't extremely jealous. They all sat down, and the orange-clad martial artist prepared to dig in. But suddenly, a glacier rose from the ground beneath them and split the table in two, crashing through the White House dome. The food was sent flying, and then frozen before it could hit the ground, smashing into tiny ice shards. Kakarot turned Super Saiyan instantly and prepared for battle, as the glacier now separated down the middle, revealing the silhouettes who had used it to enter the building undetected. It's no Buckingham Palace, even Parliament gives it a run for its money. But it'll make a decent pit to stick your bones in after we're done. Manchester Black, one of the world's strongest psychics, stood leisurely in the middle, his back guarded by Solomon Grundy, the unliving juggernaut. The Royal Pain, Count Vertigo, and Cheshire, the toxic Terminator, stood by Black's sides. Cold-hearted Killer Frost rose from beneath the ice, having been the one who escorted them in. Above them, Silver Banshee, the superpowered screamer, flew in through the newly made hold, followed shortly by the most dangerous of the group, Subjekt 17. An alien infant raised in captivity long ago by Soviet scientists, and now filled with a hate for his human torturers that was only matched by his incredible power.
Manchester Black assembled another elite Superman revenge squad. Ready for it to fail like all the rest?
With this Justice Team, our power is...
Focus!
Superboy had distracted Luthor for only an instant, but it was enough to break the tension of the standoff, as Solomon Grundy came charging at the president, even his rotted brain recognizing the opening as Luthor scolded the boy. The zombie picking Lex up and crashing through the nearest wall with the president. As Superboy rushed to go after the pair and help, his father shouted directions.
I can handle the Neanderthal. Neutralize Black, then focus on 17. He's the most powerful.
Superboy acknowledged the order just before it was drowned out by the sonic scream from Silver Banshee, hurtling Gohan into the sky, where he regained his balance for just a moment, the siren now surrounding Superboy with multiple copies. She had improved her power set, and now was able to make clones of herself from pure sound that fired at the young Saiyan consistently, blocking any attempts he made at escape or counterattacking. Cassandra crossed paths with Cheshire, and before she could make a move, her arms were suddenly surrounded by ice. Killer Frost aiming to entrap Batgirl and leave her open for a finishing blow. Cass's training with Kakarot proved vital in this instance, as she was relaxed enough to simply flow with the new situation, removing her hands from her gloves just in time to stay safe from the ice. This gave a new challenge. Cheshire, whose skin was coated in poison, leapt at Batgirl. The intel she had on her from prior research in the cave let the Shadow know that she'd be killed if she touched the assassin directly. Batgirl drove towards the overconfident Cheshire, slamming her boot into the assassin's face, and then, when she struck out for a counterattack, was knocked out cold with a right fist, timed perfectly for maximum damage. Batgirl had wrapped her fist in her cape, just as Cheshire blinked. A mistake no fighter could afford to make against Cassandra Cain. Hey folks, we're going to take a moment to plug the work of one of our own. Justin Cristelli has written for our Echoes of the Night series, and now he's publishing a series about another costume knight. Red Knight is Justin's own creator-owned comic title from Manos Publishing. It's the story of Todd McClane as he tries to break into the world of superheroes, but he needs a license to do so. And until then, he's considered an outlaw. His lucky break comes when a police detective, Martha Brown, makes a secret pact with him. She'll train him how to fight crime if he helps her on his cases. Will Red Knight change the system, or will the system change him? You can order it now, either print or digital, over at manospublishing.com and get a 10% discount with the code geeksforfun. Now, back to the show. As this was happening, Kakarot had followed Luthor's direction to aim for Manchester Black, but Subjekt 17 had blocked his path, giving the Super Saiyan a rare thing indeed, a physical challenge. The creature could match Kakarot's speed, he could push back against his strength, but thankfully, it was clear he was no martial artist. The Super Saiyan avoided power blows and kept to the core rules of infighting. Keep it short, fast, compact. The image of Joe Frazier or Mike Tyson, Kakarot bobbed between the giant's arms, then struck in rapid combinations aimed at the most vital organs. It was a sight to behold, and 17 was not going to go down easy. Unfortunately, as Kakarot ducked to avoid a deadly left hook, he was suddenly on the floor. The world around him, upside down. He'd been hit, even though he thought he dodged. 17 pressed the advantage, slamming his foot down on the Saiyan, who barely managed to use his violent rift to escape. Or he thought he did, as a boot crashed against his ribs. Oh, he's a bit punch-drunk, that one. Bless. So sad seeing fighters lose their touch. Well, bugger no. It's this prick right here. Count Vertigo grunted in annoyance, as Manchester Black comically pointed to his ally, and then took the chance to light up a cigarette, and approached the scene of Kakarot being beaten mercilessly. See, I know you're tough shit. Seen it myself. That mind of yours ain't easy to crack into. Must be that bloody mystical shit you've got in your body. No clue how that works, but it's annoying. Good thing we did our homework, like good boys and girls. Vertigo here is a different kind of headbanger. He makes you sick, takes away your balance, and then I just add to the effect. Twists your perceptions just a teeny tiny bit. Killing a Super Saiyan. Easy, mate.
Saiyan? You did not inform me our foe would not be of this world. This is not the deal.
You're an alien like me, huh? I wish I'd get a fair fight against ya.
Cool at 17. He's a space monkey, alright. But he grew up in the lap of luxury. In the good old US of A. Now he's all cozy in the White House. Ain't nothing worse than a traitor to his own kind.
Very well. But Luthor dies next.
No one? Die!
Kakarot burst out from his aura and emerged from 17's grasp, firing a Chaos Cannon directly at the Titan, blasting him through what remained of the White House walls. Count Vertigo prepared to make the Saiyan puke his guts up, but the speed of the martial artist was too great, and the Count found himself smacked in the face by a devastating backhand. Kakarot then prepared to take out Black with the same level of ferocity, but found that his body wouldn't listen to him. His heart was on fire, and Kakarot felt his energy drain without warning, stopping his assault. Black took this chance to slam the Super Saiyan to the ground with a psychic wave, feeling that Kakarot's mental defenses were suddenly a lot lower. The Brit smiled, as his sense of humour remained one of his favourite assets. Cassandra was doing her best to manoeuvre around the icy prison Killer Frost had turned the dining hall into, the confined space keeping Batgirl off balance, unable to find an opportunity to strike. Frost seemed to be cocky, underestimating her non-powered foe, and Cassandra saw this as an advantage, slipping under one ice blast and moving in for a short uppercut to take the meta down. Only for her body to be covered in ice instantly. Frost had made a sloppy move on purpose, knowing it was the only way for Batgirl to stop dodging if she moved forward to attack. Gohan's ears were ringing, his head was spinning, and his eyes were unable to cover the dozens of sound clothes made by Banshee. Had he been forced into this fight 5 months ago, he'd have been helpless. But thanks to his mentor and his sister student, he'd managed to learn how to calm himself in tense situations, focusing inwards and doing what he couldn't against Parasite.
Breathe. Ignore what you see. Sense. Focus on what you feel.
Gohan smiled, as now Banshee's location was obvious. But he also noticed something else. The other energy signatures. Mr. Kakarot, Cassandra, they were both fading, fast. They had taught him the power of sensing ki, and now it was about to let him feel their depths.
No! No! Ah!
Gohan's boot hit Banshee's neck while she was still gloating about victory. She was the master of sound, but light travels a lot faster. Her consciousness was gone before she even hit the ground, and now Gohan was in front of Killer Frost, snapping the icicle she had prepared to kill Batgirl with.
You don't touch them! You don't touch any of them!
He still had enough restraint to not kill anyone, but the brutality on display was a far cry from the boy's usual demeanor. With a pinpoint hit to the ice containing Cassandra, Gohan was able to free her and place her safely on the ground. She was unconscious, but thankfully still alive. However, this relief was short-lived, as 17 came bursting back through a wall, grabbing the young Saiyan and tossing him through several rooms. Gohan quickly rose to his feet and prepared to face the alien alone, but was glad it didn't seem he'd need to, as Kakarot approached from behind him.
Mr. Kakarot, I'm still inexperienced, but I know we can take 17 together!
Perish, damn Saiyan!
Gohan was blasted from the back by a ki blast from Kakarot, the confused boy turning to look for any kind of reason, only to see that his master was moving unnaturally, all while Manchester Black stood in the distance, eyes closed, focused on controlling the martial arts body like a puppet.
Oi, I'm Kakarot Black!
Elsewhere, Grundy held tightly onto the president, squeezing against what regular shielding tech protected Luthor, even without his Superman armor. The difference in potency was incomparable, and Luthor felt the Immortal's grip breaking through as each second passed.
Solomon Grundy, born on a Monday, smash beauty president.
Luthor spit into the eye of the monster and sealed his fate. Grundy gritted his teeth and put more pressure to crush Superman's skull. But suddenly, his hand couldn't move. It began to spasm and shake. Against his will, Grundy's arm slowly lowered Lex to the ground and released him. Then, the hand that dared touch Lex Luthor formed a fist, which came soaring back to Grundy's own face.
This will all be lost on you, but I'm used to speaking over my audience's head. Right now, coursing through your body are trillions of self-replicating nanodroids, all of them receiving a signal from my mind. I've prepared for a situation like this for a very long time. You never stood a chance.
Grundy began to pummel himself even more, one hand hitting his own face over and over like a jackhammer, the other ripping with all its might at his own leg until he managed to tear it clean off, his mouth gnawing at his own bicep and tearing the flesh, blood pooling around the monster. After a short while, the machines were the only things moving the body after Grundy's supernatural mind had faded. Luthor had made him tear himself apart.
Mercy. Send my cape at once.
Superboy was doing his best to hold off the onslaught from 17 and Kakarot Black. Lucky for him, Black wasn't nearly as skilled as Kakarot, more just flailing the arms of a Super Saiyan than using any kind of technique. 17, however, was incredibly strong, and struck the young hero with a vicious elbow to the jaw, then flipped over and used his gigantic bulk to slam the tiny champion into the dirt with both his feet. Things were looking bleak, until Gohan's vision was filled with a flowing cape. Luthor was now in his armor, and blocked a punch from 17 and kicked away Kakarot Black.
On your feet, Superboy. We do this together.
Right! Let's go, Superman!
The two caped heroes struck in a paired fury. as they did in their hundreds of training sessions, combating and outdoing the two foes in practiced, passionless, but efficient motion. 17 could barely keep up, and Kakarot Black was completely overwhelmed, as Superman beat him up decisively.
Luthor! You will fall this day!
That's right! I'm not having none of your truth, justice, and the American way bollocks today, Superman!
Hold 17.
On it!
Luthor's boots rocketed him forward faster than a speeding bullet, moving past 17 and Kakarot, and directly towards the intensely focused Manchester Black. Black quickly abandoned his control of Kakarot and tried to protect himself, but Luthor had already sent 2 piercing lasers from his gauntlet directly through Black's eyes, lobotomizing the psychic, leaving him a drooling mess in a vegetative state. Manchester Black didn't have time to defend, much less beg. Kakarot was now free of Black's control, but instantly fell to the ground unconscious. With one threat down, Gohan squared up with the remaining one. Gohan had read his file. The alien had battled Lex many times. Unlike his other foes, it wasn't over money or power. His hatred for humanity was from the decades of torture and experimentation he'd undergone while held by the Soviet and then Russian government. When he finally had the chance to escape it all, it was Lex Luthor who dragged him back.
Stand aside. I only want Luthor. You're an alien like me. Truthfully, I do not wish to fight. Just let me kill him.
I know it was done to you, but you can't use it as an excuse. No one deserves to die. I know you're on opposing sides, but Superman, he's a hero.
How can he be a hero? He gave me back to my torturers. Those monsters didn't even give me a name.
I didn't have one either. But I do now. You can get over your past. You can be a hero, just like my father.
I can see your mind. We aren't so different. Maybe I can...
From across the room, another beam of energy came. This time, Superman had shot a concentrated blast from his chest plate, unloading a massive amount of power into a single, focused beam, and killed the alien instantly.
Good job keeping him distracted while I charged up, Superboy.
Gohan stood in complete shock as he watched Lex casually step over the warm, smoking corpse of 17. The boy was stunned silent as Luthor seemed to drift off into his own world, speaking to the alien's body as he roughly kicked away at it.
See what happens to anyone who crosses me? Anyone who underestimates Lex Luthor? Look at this, Superboy. This is what all my enemies will look like in the end. Nobody threatens me. Nobody gets in Luthor's way.
Lex turned to look at his son. The intense anger faded away and was covered up by the charismatic veneer they'd all come to recognize.
Come, Superboy. Let's gather your friends.
In his mind, in a state of complete shock, Gohan's senses were elevated for just a moment. And in that moment, Gohan felt a massive spike of power that he'd never sensed before. But it faded as quickly as it came. Some time passed until Kakarot and Cassandra had both been cared to. The White House staff was busy making repairs to the building, and the authorities had taken what remained of the villains away. The heroes chatting about the attack, Superboy selectively describing the parts Kakarot and Cassandra weren't conscious for.
You handled yourself well today, Superboy. My scouter indicated your power level to be in the billions. I see this training you've taken up is really working. I should thank you for that, Kakarot.
Oh, it's no problem. We're having fun back on the farm.
Glad to hear it. And I have good news. Miss Tezuka, prepare the food.
Impressive. Most impressive.
The trio began to run for the exit of the Oval Office, but Lex asked Kakarot to hang back for a moment. Kakarot dropped his shoulders in disappointment as he turned and walked back to the president's desk.
Yo, Cass! Save me some, okay?
No.
Lex smiled as Batgirl closed the door behind her, but then his face took on a more solemn expression as he turned to Kakarot.
I always liked you, Kent. You're humble, modest, uncoordinated. I hope this feeling is mutual, but it's clear you're hiding something. We've been in fights worse than that before. You never went down that easy. Tell me what's going on.
You were always too smart for me. It's my heart. Some kind of virus.
I see. That aligns with the symptoms you're showing. Something from your time in space? Contagious?
Leo said it wasn't. I don't know where I got it, but it's focused on my cells. My ki is killing me. Pretty nasty stuff, huh? While we're saying the truth, though, I gotta talk to you about what you've been saying.
You know.
Superboy's my son.
Yes. He was grown from your DNA after you left with the League. A precaution, in case beings like the Saiyans ever invaded again.
But I can also sense something else. He's got your ki in him too.
This ki sensing of yours. It's hardly a substitute for scientific study, but you are correct. He is our child, and I hope that we could teach him to surpass us both.
Yeah, that's the idea. It does kind of get me curious, though. How tough you'd be if you learned how to use your ki. Gohan's potential is way greater than mine ever was, especially when he gets angry. That anger, it's something he gets from you.
I've never needed anything but my mind. Superboy will be the same. Though, having a foundation martial arts skill does provide its benefits. Certainly more so than the usual powered brute.
You shouldn't have made him a Super Saiyan, Lex. It ain't the way to do it. He'd have got there on his own.
Well, you can help him with that, right?
Right. Well, I'll see you around.
Wait, Kakarot. I should apologize for all our past conflicts. It was a lifetime ago for both of us. Superboy is our future. I assure you he will continue to protect the world if you pass. But I will dedicate my own resources to finding you a cure, even if I have to bend time to my will.
Kakarot smiled before turning back around and giving Lex a very sudden hug. He then darted through the door, eager to dig into the remaining food. Luthor stood alone in his Oval Office as the moon rose in the night sky.
Hey, it's me, Kakarot! Whoa! Gohan! Who are these kids? Their energy feels all wibbly-wobbly.
Good. You two are here. You have to act quickly. Otherwise, we're doomed.
When I left you, I was but the learner. Now I am the master.
This actually could have untold damage done to the time stream.
Wow! I hope we can help! Next time on Dragon Ball DC, an adventure through space and time.